Good morning. How are you today? Well, it's a beautiful day here in Virginia, and I look forward to the day when we'll all march down this road without fear of distancing or getting the virus. But I think that's a lot further away than the spring that the weather suggests we're going to have. In terms of how the virus will end, it's not going to end when people like the governors of Texas and Mississippi tell the people, you don't have to worry about masks. You don't have to worry about anything. It's over. Send our kids to school. Don't listen to those Democrats. It's like a plot to defeat the good practices that President Biden has put in place and encouraged people by example to follow to reduce the rate of acceleration of the pandemic. What could be a worse government example than Texas and Mississippi? And why would the people in Texas trust the government after we saw how well they handled their own crisis involving weather and electricity? And it's just unbelievable. And I think the answer is in part that we have underestimated the effect of a mass movement involving true believers, which is what Bannon has always said this movement is about. That is, that we have people who are locked in to the fact that the status quo isn't working for them. And they've been told all the reasons why it's not working for them. So they're being told, listen, you know what you should be doing? You should be fighting this government. You should be watching out for the deep state. And then, what do? During the entire time McConnell was in charge of the Senate, they didn't do anything for the people except grudgingly, the bare minimum. And they always found a way to take care of Wall Street, but not Main Street. So, is that an actual plan? Yes, it is. It runs against our notion that the people at the polls reward elected leaders who lead and promote the general welfare. But the Republicans have a different plan. Their plan is for the people to be so upset with government, there'll be a mass movement into the future. And their hope is that they're going to trust these people who would overthrow the government and put in place an autocracy to do it better. That's their program. Now, what is our war against that? Our war against that is really what Biden is doing. It's a new template. That is, it's a government that in fact does promote the general welfare and then does deal with the needs of the people and does therefore give them hope. Hope that the government realizes they're in trouble and cares as a nation to promote the general welfare and to take care of those people, whether they be unemployed, whether they be food insecure, whether they have problems where they're living, whether they're a small business, whether they're a government that needs the funds to get out the vaccine and to sustain their government during this crisis. All of the above and more. And the Republicans, to a man or woman, have resisted this proposal, a $1.9 trillion proposal. And why? Because they need people to believe the status quo doesn't work for them. That is, government by democracy, government by Democrats, or even by enlightened Republicans, as has happened in the past. That government doesn't suit them because their constituency is ever narrowing because of their dystopic view of what government should do, which is to take care of the representatives and the people they really represent, which are the wealthy. So how do we address this? Well, we have senators like Manchin, for instance, who's in a state that very strongly supports Trump. And it appears to be dictating his position. So he's in the Democratic caucus, but we see him supporting the Republican positions of doing as little as possible for the people to justify the autocratic solution over the Democratic one. And that's very interesting, because how do we pass any other bill, pass the reconciliation bill, which only requires a majority, if we can't command 50 votes plus one to consider by a majority vote things like the Justice Act, things like H.R. 1 involving electoral and campaign reform. So that's really the challenge to America right now. And it doesn't just hang on one man. Say if we choose another issue, say the $15 minimum wage, when that came up on the floor by Sanders' motion to amend the $1.9 trillion bill, he was defeated. I don't mean him personally so much as the idea, by 8 Democratic votes. And they were from small states. And I haven't analyzed state by state what it means, but Maine, I'm pretty sure Vermont, New Hampshire. Now, Sinema is from McCain State, Arizona. And of course, we have former Governor Manchin, Senator Manchin from West Virginia. So that's a problem, wiping away the filibuster vote requiring 60, that when we have an important vote like the minimum wage, we can't get the support we need even among the Democrats. We need all of them, plus perhaps the Vice President of the United States. Now, the other day, we passed the $1.9 trillion bill, and this morning on the Talking Heads on MSNBC, Manchin was on there, and he kind of disappeared in a cloud of dust as to what he was thinking. He never spelled it out. He was pressed on it, and I don't have any problem with the host, how he went after him. But and he did it politely, but he was persistent. So Manchin's a problem, but he's not the only one. We have several, and Sinema, if that's how she says her name, is pretty haughty about her rebellion. Now, one could have said to the $1.9 trillion bill that I don't think it was appropriate, and that the word of our parliamentarian was correct. But that's not what she did. What she did was she kind of showed that she didn't take it seriously, the problem that people have when they don't get a minimum wage. And she contradicted earlier support she had for the minimum wage. So what is our battle going forward? It is to press in every way we can to show that government works. It's almost that simple. It's to fight with truth the disinformation that's necessary to the Republican propaganda and agenda. It is to try to serve the people when the Republicans have decided their best political course is not to serve them at all. It is to talk about the values of this $1.9 trillion bill, again with all the executive decisions Biden is making, so that in the midterms we can swell the members in Congress and perhaps pick up a Senate seat. So this is our challenge as voters and as citizens. And I think this is the playbook that makes the most sense to me. So I'm out here in our cathedral of trees, and it's a beautiful day. So get out if you can, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.